everyone, and welcome to the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world show made for the fans by a fan. I am your host, as always, Richard Tiemann, and this is the award-winning Fan Show. Thank you, especially thank you. Thank you for joining me where everyone's a fan of something and we have got something for every fan, especially if you're a fan of, should we call it poetic justice? I recall very distinctly coming on the show, Tuesday, and saying that this whole Antonio Brown fiasco, if it was orchestrated, probably not by him, but if he had a hand in it, and if it was orchestrated more by his agent, really if it was orchestrated at all, that the universe has a tendency to sort of work itself out, where what goes around comes around. And as part of today's headlines, we will tell you all about, what's going on with the latest with him. And it just, wow. The things that will happen like that in this world just blow me away. We've got a question of the day coming up as well. Some of you have already seen it on my personal Facebook page. And then also we will have the big preview of Week 2 in the NFL, which starts tonight. The Buccaneers at the Panthers, both looking desperately for a win, and what better way to do it than in prime time against a division rival. So with that, we do welcome all comments, questions, and even answers if you've got them on the chat. If you're watching at home from Facebook Live at facebook.com/fanshowofficial. And if you're listening live on Spreaker.com, then I welcome you to, or I encourage you and welcome you to join us on Facebook as well. But there is a chat feature on Spreaker.com. If you just go and either click the app or go to Spreaker.com/user/thefanshow, there is a chat function on there. I can see all your questions and comments and, of course, your answers right there. So without further ado or any more delay, let's go ahead and get to today's headlines. And the headlines, of course, brought to you by Dynamite Enterprises, where they want to customize your world. They can do everything from custom hats to t-shirts. They can do business cards. They can do flasks, probably. They can do socks. They can do underwear. They can do these awesome stickers that we have, that several of you have out there in Fan Nation. Several of you have shirts as well of Fan Nation. They can even do a custom mini helmet. This is the product, though, of Mr. Adam Lampert, and I think that they should hit him up to do custom mini helmets, because that one's bomb and it's going to stay in the studio forever. They can pretty much do anything custom that you want. Just visit their website, dynamiteenterprises.com, and take a scroll through seeing what they've already done, and if there's something you want done that they have not done, simply ask. And you can ask Ethan. Ethan at dynamiteenterprises.com is his email, and he will let you know if they can or can't, and I guarantee you 99 times out of 100 he's going to say, yes, we can. So, Dynamite Enterprises, proud sponsor and partner of the Fan Show and today's headlines. And it's a circus. The circus continues. It went from Pittsburgh to Oakland and now to New England. And we're pending a lot to come from this. In fact, I haven't seen a tweet of the absolute latest. But yes, the Antonio Brown saga continues. You guys are welcome to chime in your thoughts. I'd like to welcome Adam, Casey, good to see you guys, James, Antonio, Jason, Nigel, good to see all of you guys. Quick sidebar shout out to all of you in the Sioux Falls, South Dakota area. You had a little bit of a scare this last week, and I'm glad. I never thought I would be a person that was legitimately holding my breath to watch for that feature on Facebook that so-and-so has marked themselves safe from whatever. And there I was, hearing about the news of tornadoes going through Sioux Falls, and I'm scrolling and updating and refreshing my Facebook, watching for my friends to mark themselves safe after a tornado. How crazy is that? So I'm glad you guys are safe, and I'm glad that there was minimal damage. And Adam says all he was asking for was a racing sponsorship. And James says, I got 5 on it. What 5 on what, James? What? But yes, I'm glad you guys are all safe from the tornado. And I think you guys really got by pretty unscathed, because it was kind of a similar situation with the hurricane down in Florida. So there's been some close calls. There was some damage. I saw the drone footage. There was a lot of damage that was done over the course of that tornado. You guys had, I think, a total of 3 touchdowns. That's more than the Steelers could muster. And I don't mean to make light of your guys' close call in Sioux Falls, but I mean, obviously you guys got out alive, literally, and if you can't make light of a situation, then what are we doing here, really? So let's go to the Twitter sphere and see what the latest is from Mr. Adam Schefter, to see if there's anything new on the Antonio Brown situation. Let's see. It looks like Le'Veon Bell's shoulder is fine, in case you guys were wondering. However, also in today's headlines, Sam Darnold is out with mono. I repeat, Sam Darnold is out with mono. How crazy is that? I think that's probably one of the biggest surprises so far in the NFL season. So yes, that was the first good news. That was the bad news for the Jets, Le'Veon Bell and his shoulder being fine. Obviously, good news for the Jets. Let's see here. Is there anything? Oh, Vikings have placed wide receiver Josh Doxson on the IR. That's not good. And then let's see. Darnold is out indefinitely at the moment. And yes, Luke Falk will be the Jets' backup. Trevor Siemian is expected to start on Monday Night Football. So they're not completely in the gutter on this. They're not all out of hope. Siemian was serviceable, and that's what you need in a game right now in week 2. You need a serviceable quarterback. Yes, you want to get out in front. You're in the AFC East, and you've got the Patriots, but the Dolphins, as of right now, are a dumpster fire. And then, of course, you just lost to the Bills, so you'd like to get a win back. But I think, week 2, it's not quite time to hit the panic button. You don't want to be 0-2, but if you are 0-2, knowing that your franchise quarterback is out with mono indefinitely, I think you can kind of chalk that up to we tried. And let's see here. Washington Redskins running back Darius Geese is in Florida today to meet with Dr. James Andrew. He is also out indefinitely, and it is Andrew Luck's 30th birthday. We remember him, don't we? Andrew Luck, who gave it us all and then decided to retire. And a quick shout out, hello, Mr. Cody Barber. I think you are awesome, sir. You really are. I just want to say that. Let's see. Nigel says kissing the wrong people. That is how you get mono, isn't it? Adam says, here's the real question. Who is Sam Darnold kissing? And if he's married, then scandal. And that's exactly what the Jets need right now. Antonio Brown would be begging for a Sam Darnold scandal at the moment. So let's go ahead and see if I can find any of the latest on Antonio Brown. Because this, like I said on Tuesday, man, the universe. Let's see. He's catching passes from Tom Brady early in practice. From NFL Now, Patriots are practicing as if Antonio Brown is going to play on Sunday, and unless the NFL steps in, he just might. So right now, we're waiting on the NFL. Color me shocked. When are we not waiting on Mr. Goodell and company to step in and do something? And it's funny, we just celebrated the Fan Show's 4th birthday and the premiere of our 5th season on Tuesday, and I remember Deflategate and Ray Rice and all this stuff going on with the NFL, Adrian Peterson even, and it wasn't consistent. And that's all I've ever asked from the NFL, is that when it comes to dishing out punishment and suspensions and fines, you need to be consistent. Otherwise, it really does look like you are portraying some type of favoritism, or I guess even in some cases racism, and that's not the look that you want. So if a guy is caught abusing his girlfriend or beating a woman, whatever, and you issue him a 4-game suspension, then the next guy that's caught doing something similar, and I realize it's a case-by-case basis and everything is different from case to case, but it's got to be some kind of similarity and consistency there, does there not? Because you can't go and put a league ban on that guy, because it's the NFL needs some kind of consistency here. Antonio Brown's wearing number 17 for what it's worth. And so right now, it looks like he may play on Sunday. Let's see. The accuser is a former trainer of his. And, some people may have seen the emails. It's very interesting stuff going on with Antonio Brown right now. What's up, Luke? We're talking Antonio Brown. So let's go ahead and get to the question of the day, which is, let's see here, which is, who is better off without Antonio Brown, the Steelers or the Raiders? Now, I'm going to say that this needs to be given more thought than the knee-jerk reaction of, well, the Raiders won and the Steelers lost. Okay, but the Raiders, they're the Raiders. They're going to win a couple. That's just what the Raiders do. They win when you don't expect them to win because they got John Gruden out there with his Gruden grinders, and they're going to win a couple of games when they got to win a couple of games, and the game's on the line, and you might not win that game, but you're going to win a couple of games. But then you have the Steelers who played the Patriots, and they lost horribly because that's what the Steelers do against the Patriots. So, question of the day, I'll leave it to you guys on the Facebook, and of course, if you hear this past its live broadcast, feel free to tweet at me. You can see the little scrolly bar down below of how to get at me on social media. Nigel says the NFL's better off without him. I'm going to say yes, I agree with that. That is also a choice for this question, just because the NFL needs more consistency and less circus. Okay, I think that's something we can all agree on. Nigel, I forgot, was a Steelers fan. He's like, his Steelers are good. And then James knocking on wood. Hey, Matt, good to see you. Adam says the Raiders. Steelers only have Juju at wide receiver, so everybody's covering him. Yeah, but they said, the Twitter sphere, the people on Twitter, which was supposed to be part of last week's headlines. I will go ahead and bring it up now, that one of my accomplishments during my time away was getting Adam to join Twitter. It took some doing, but I got it done. So welcome to Twitter, Adam. He's been loving it ever since. The people on Twitter will say that Juju's stats were better without Antonio Brown there. So I guess it really is just depending on the situation. But I think that, the Steelers are better off without him simply because they were without him first. The Raiders didn't really have a chance to be with Antonio Brown, and that headache that was the helmet and the frostbite and everything else going on. I mean, they're better off without him, yeah, but they never really had him to begin with. I think the Steelers are better off without him because they were fully prepared to move on, and they had started the move on process. So yeah, the Raiders, they're rid of him after an offseason of just what the hell, and they got a win out of it. The Steelers, yeah, they got a loss. Yeah, it was against the Patriots, and it didn't look very good a lot of the time during that game. But the fact is that they were prepared for life without Antonio Brown. Now, they were prepared for life without Le'Veon Bell. So I'm going to say the Steelers are better off without him just because they were probably laughing their ass off at the Raiders when this whole thing was going down, Ant says, neither one of them are going to make the playoffs. I was thinking of a good question of the day regarding like our week one too early reactions, our knee-jerk reactions, and that is, that are the Steelers going to get like the number one, are they setting themselves up for the number one overall pick, or are the Raiders going to be playoff bound? So there was a few that I toyed with, but I think this one is better just because this has been the hot topic, Antonio Brown, and now the Patriots have to deal with him. So good luck to them. Welcome, Keith. I see you joining us on the live. To those of you out there that have joined that have not chimed in, please feel free to do so. We are talking about the question of the day, which is presented by Undisputed Belts. They are your one-stop shop for all your belt needs, be it your fantasy football league, your office pool, maybe just a sibling rivalry. Sibling rivalry. Undisputed Belts has got you covered. They now have not only every color of the rainbow and then some for the belt strap, they also do gold, silver, and black metal plates, which I gotta say the black metal plates look really good. And they not only have adult size belts, they're doing kid sizes now, and coming soon, the office size belt, which is basically a mini belt, like one that you could put around your wrist that will sit nicely on your desktop. Like I have so many things right now on my desktop, including a baseball that I got from the Indians game that we went to. Yeah, we haven't been to a baseball game in a long time. And we went, and I got the mascots to autograph it, so that was a lot of fun. Keith says, if he plays, the Steelers are better off without him. Less drama in Pittsburgh. I don't think the Patriots are better with him unless he puts up 8 to 10 touchdowns. He needs to contribute immediately. You know, it's funny because we went through this with Randy Moss. We went through this with who was the receiver from the Saints that they got, and then we went through this with Josh Gordon. It just seems to me like everybody expects the Patriots offense to put up these, Chiefs 2018 offense numbers, and then they don't. But they still win a lot of games. They make it to the playoffs, and then they go to the Super Bowl, and usually they win. But it's so funny to me. They get one new receiver, and then it's like it's game over for the rest of the league because they're going to be unstoppable. And that's that's never been the Patriot way. If you guys watch football and follow the NFL, that's never been the Patriot or Bill Belichick way. But it's also just never been the case. I mean, they had a great run with Randy Moss. They really did. Josh Gordon, they never really got to have him because he can't stop smoking pot to save his life. And that's going to bug me. Who was the wide receiver from the Saints that they picked up? And they were just like, game over. Imagine Brady throwing touchdowns to this guy. If he can break a tackle at the 10 or after about the 10-yard line, because Brady doesn't throw deep. I don't know what the point is of having these big playmaker receivers, because if it's not a 5-yard check down, it's a throw to Gronk at the goal line. Plain and simple, and you guys can laugh, cry, and get mad at whatever reactions you want. That's the truth about the Patriots. Stu, thank you for joining. Stu says also Super Bowl favorites per Vegas. I think they're probably Super Bowl favorites if it's just Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, and then an empty roster beyond that. It's just like, okay, so who's going to be part of our next Super Bowl squad? Like that's, to me, is the Patriot way. It's you've got Bill, you've got Tom, and now the rest is just the supporting cast of the New England Patriots and their insert any year here Super Bowl run, right? So Antonio Brown, he's going to be a Patriot. He might get a ring out of it, but keep your eyes on this whole debacle with the sexual assault accusation. Look, it's nothing to laugh at as far as that. It is laughable that here's a guy who has been the center of sports media for the last 3.5, 4 months, even then some, when the actual trade happened. And now with the helmet and the frostbite and all the stuff with the Raiders, and then getting released and signing with the Patriots. And now for this kind of headline, it's like, you reap what you sow. And I'm not saying that he did it. I'm just saying that it's like, just like I said on Tuesday's episode, if he had a hand, if it was orchestrated and he had a hand in this, this is what goes around coming back around. So Antonio Brown, are the Steelers or Raiders better off with him? Let you guys go ahead and think on that a little bit more. Hey, Kyle Shea, Mr. Shea, Jesse, good to see you. Adam, no, there's no need for Chris Collinsworth right now. There's not. Adam also says, though, he throws to Edelman, White, and Burkett. Yeah. And I I have all three on my fantasy roster. Look, rule number one of fantasy football, you never draft a Patriots running back. You just don't. That's not smart football. Rule number two about fantasy football is that if you get Christian McCaffrey, you make sure that you started him. Oh, that hurt. Oh, God. I don't even know how that happened. For those of you unfamiliar with my tales of woe when it comes to fantasy football, is that I'm not superstitious per se. I just have my own little set of rules. I'll never draft a Seahawk. I just won't unless the exception. I typically don't draft interdivision rivals like guys from the Cardinals or from the Rams. My exception has been Cooper Kupp for the Rams because he was obviously an Eastern product. And then Kendrick Bourne, also from Eastern, he plays for the Niners, so I can't not draft him, even if he's not productive. I like having him on my bench because I feel like he's a lucky charm. So I guess a little superstitious, whatever. But I never draft a Seahawk. I just don't because I can't bring myself to cheer for them in any capacity, in any way, shape, or form. And my second rule is that I set it and forget it when it comes to my lineup after the draft. I don't go immediately to the waiver. I don't propose trades. It's like I draft and try to get the guys I want. And I feel like once the draft is over, we're all kind of on a level playing field in the same boat, especially if you're in a 10 to 12 team league, which is the perfect number, 10 or 12. If you guys do 14 or 16 with two quarterbacks, you're insane. And I do not feel sorry for you at all. 8-team, you can get away with. People laugh at that, but really it's all about the spirit of competition and having fun. So I said it and I forget it. CMC had to have been my first pick, and somehow he ended up on my bench, and dude got 65 points. I would have won that game, and I didn't because that's what happens to me in week one. Luke says, let's see. It may be, is that bunk? It may be bunk. What are you saying, Luke? It may be bunk, especially with it occurring 2 days after the Pats picked him up. But then again, he's a grown baby. Can't stand the guy. Luke said he passed on McCaffrey and picked up Kamara. Hey, that's a fair trade. Kamara had a great game as well. So I think Luke meant to say it may be luck, not bunk. Adam has rules as well. His are, don't draft Vikings players, so it looks like we're the same on there, unless it's Adam Thielen, which my new team name is that Chubby Thielen, because I have Chubb from the Browns and then Thielen from the Vikings. Both great players. In that league, I got the win, thankfully, and I didn't even have CMC to start in that one, but I still picked up the W, so not all is lost. I see Griffin has joined us. For those of you that are anxiously awaiting the new BattleBot special, there was a bit of a scheduling conflict, so we got that done. That one will be premiering later on tonight, just in time for an all-new episode tomorrow. And Keith says, I won't draft a Raider, ever. Also, wait 3 weeks or so before hitting the waiver wire. That's good. Hey, Brian, good to see you. Brian Hicks, one of the best quarterbacks in the indoor and arena game, if I do say so myself. So we all have our rules. Let's have that be the next question here is what are your rules for fantasy football? Adam shared a few. Keith shared a few. Anything? Let's go down the superstition alley here, or the aisle. There we go. Let's go down superstition aisle at the fantasy football grocery store just before checkout. What are certain things that you guys have to do before fantasy season or throughout fantasy season that you feel might be a little quirky or odd or just plain fun, or if it wouldn't feel like fantasy football season if you didn't do that? So your guys' thoughts. Let's see. Obi-Wan Mahomey is Keith's team name. Very clever. And I completely understand why you would pick that. So clever team name. You guys can share your team names as well, because we're about to do the little bit of pick 'em here. I went technically 11-4. Should have been 12-4, but that frickin' tie. So yeah, I went 11-4. I'm not going to say I went 11-4-1 because I don't count ties, because ties shouldn't count in the NFL. I digress. So I went 11-4, not bad. It was a modest outing, if I do say so myself. So this week has some great matchups. Like I said, tonight we kick off week 2. Now, I'm not a fan of Thursday Night Football. I probably won't watch any of this game, save for the highlights, because I don't really care for either team. But both are 0-1. It is the Buccaneers at the Panthers. And the big question right now is, of course, Cam Newton's health. Another question of the day I was going to propose that you guys can kind of chew on and give me your thoughts is, whose time is closer to an end on their team? Is it Jameis Winston's time with the Buccaneers, or is it Cam Newton's time with the Panthers? And for completely different reasons. Cam has really struggled the last couple of seasons with the injury bug. And, him and Ron Rivera are not going to be a Brady and Belichick where they're a package deal. I mean, Ron was on the hot seat, I think, the season before they ended up going to the Super Bowl. And he's been fine ever since, but we all know that no coaching job is ever secure. I think we found that out in Green Bay. A guy wins a Super Bowl for your team, his first one since the Brett Favre era, and they ran him out of Dodge, and that was priceless. That really was, Coach Mike McCarthy. But Jameis Winston has not been the number 1 overall pick that they all thought he was going to be. Now, he hasn't had any kind of consistency whatsoever since getting to Tampa Bay, and that's not his fault. However, his poor decision-making, that is his fault, and he had some very poor decisions against my Niners, including a pick 6 to Richard Sherman. Never thought I'd see the day, but there's one you guys can think about between Cam Newton and Jameis Winston, whose tenure with their team is closer to being at its end this season in 2019-2020. Luke comments, I don't mock draft because it never turns out the way that the draft actually does. I can see that, totally. Adam, his team name is No Pants Nation, of course, because he's a kilt wearer. And I do love that. Danny asked me, she's just like, who's No Pants Nation? I was like, Adam. She's like, why? I was like, because he wears a kilt. Okay, get your mind on the gutter. I'm sorry. It was really funny. Let's see. Luke's team name is Ertz Donut. Love it. Classic. Nigel says the NFL should not have ties. All caps, but there should be at least 4 exclamation points after that, Nigel. I'm very disappointed. It just makes it sound like you're kind of shouting, but not. But yes, I will agree. The NFL should not have ties. Matt Kerwick actually commented last episode that they should incorporate some kind of college rule. Yes. Look, sudden death was almost better than how they have it now, because it was the first team to score wins, whether it was a field goal or a touchdown, and I don't remember hardly any ties happening under that. So I would rather have sudden death and people bitching about them not having a fair shot to score than having these ties, because 2 teams took forever to try to get into field goal range or what have you. But it does suck for the team that they possess the ball and score a touchdown and then it's game over, and the other team, then they still don't get a chance to possess the ball. So something needs to be fixed there. Let's see. Berg says Bucks can't hang with the Niners. No, they cannot. I see Alex has joined us, and let's see. Stu. Hey, Stu is still here. Les has joined us. Let's see some of these. Antonio. Landry's Lone Stars. Get out of here with that Dallas stuff. Antonio, no. This is like the one time a year that I can't talk to you. Happy birthday to Jen, by the way, Antonio, if she's there, listening, watching. Happy birthday, Jen. Miss you, love you. You guys are great. Happy birthday. Hope it's been a great one. Don't know why Antonio's here if it's your birthday. He should be taking you out somewhere fancy, like Dave and Buster's. Let's see. Stu says hide and Zeke prior to the finalized contract. And then let's see. Antonio says, I always draft a Cowboy as my last pick. Of course you do. Of course you do. You would. Nigel says, Cam time is ready to go. Look at his fashion style and his hair. Midlife crisis is my opinion. My wife has had some of the most amazing comments when it comes to Cam Newton and his attire preferences, and I wish I had either live stream going every time we start talking about football and the Panthers, or just hitting a record button somewhere, because she is hilarious. She's just like, you can't dress like a winner if you don't win. She's like, you can't dress outrageous if you don't win. Just little things like that, little jabs. They're very funny. Let's see. Keith says Eli Manning gone after the season. Oh, that writing's been on the wall for a while. Nigel says, let's see. Oh, I am not the pro. He says, you're the pro, not me. I just coach and recruit. Yeah, you do a very good job of it, though. And he's very hospitable, might I add. Quad City was a fantastic place to go. I still haven't gotten my Stud Rudd poster, though, from your guy. I'm pretty sure he just pocketed my money. It's okay, though. Antonio says, she's in the house. I'm in the garage building Halloween props. Okay, on that note, for those of you that aren't friends with Antonio, they do like a haunted house, and it looks pretty damn good. Now, we've dubbed Antonio El Macho because there is an uncanny resemblance between him and the character from Despicable Me 2, El Macho. And I had a thought to myself that I meant to comment and post and completely forgot. But look, Antonio, if part of your guys' haunted house in your backyard isn't you dressed as the purple hulked out El Macho to scare the little kids, then the whole thing is a wash. You just might as well not even do it. So there's my 2 bits for you. That Antonio needs to be big purple El Macho for this year's Halloween haunted house that they're putting together. So good luck with that. I hope it goes well. So tonight, Bucks Panthers. Probably the Panthers. I'm just going to go with the home team on that one. Cowboys Redskins. Redskins, they choked away a win against the Eagles. They really did. I don't want to pick the Cowboys, but I will say I don't think that the Redskins get this win. There's a few issues that they've got on the offensive side right now that they need to address. And Jay Gruden's coaching decisions as far as some of the play calling is subject at best. Colts Titans. For those of you in survivor pools right now, this is one of the games I would look at. Titans looked really good. Colts, decent, but still. Titans looked really good against the Browns. Then we have the Seahawks and the Steelers. You want to pick, Pittsburgh at home. Seattle, though, narrowly escaped against Cincy at home, week 1, crazy, by 1 point. And that's just what Seattle does. They play all 60 minutes, and the other team plays 59 and a half. That's really what it comes down to. So I'm not going to pick the Seahawks, but I also say that the Steelers, if they lost, it would not shock me. It would not surprise me. Bills Giants. Bills are 1-0. What am I seeing here? Bills Giants. And the Giants, God, am I really going to pick the Bills to win this? I don't know. There's a lot of odd matchups that I wasn't expecting for week 2, and this is one of them. Patriots-Dolphins, trap game if I ever saw one. A little early for that, but God, how funny would that be? Patriots will probably win. Yeah, the Patriots will probably win. Jaguars-Texans. I think the Texans will get this one. I do. They were on the wrong end of luck in their last game. That was a bad beat, and I think the Jaguars just have some fine tuning and then some to do. Vikings Packers. They're both 1-0. Packers though, man, against the Bears, that was ugly football. That really was. They do have the advantage as far as being the home team and as far as being well rested from doing the Thursday night game. But I think with the new head coach and that relationship having to build a little bit when it comes to, quarterback, head coach, I think the Vikings might actually sweep them this season. I really do. I think the Packers are in for some growing pains in a long road, and people are going to call for, a new head coach, and then when they don't win, they're going to call for a new head coach. But this is what you wanted, Packer fans, when you ran Mike McCarthy out of there. So you got to roll with the punches, and right now you're getting knocked out. And you're 1-0. I realize it sounds completely contradictory, but that was just bad performance. Chargers-Lions. This is another one for those of you in survivor pools or doing survivor pick'em. I think the Chargers look really good right now, and the Lions look really not good right now. They're not in the win column. They're not in the loss column. They're in the tie column. 49ers-Bengals. 49ers are going to win that one. on the road. Enough said. That's all that needs to be said right now. Cardinals Ravens. This would probably be the number one pick for this week if you're in a survivor pool or pick 'em. Ravens, man, they could not be stopped last week, and the Cardinals, they couldn't stop anything except for getting a win or a loss. So there's that. Chiefs Raiders. They're both 1-0, but in very different ways. I think the Chiefs will probably get this one over the Raiders. Divisional matchups early in the season are always entertaining, though. Saints and Rams, this will probably be the game of the week. I will pick the Saints in this because I think they've got revenge on the brain. And although the Rams looked good, I think the Saints looked a little better. And they're going to be on the road, hostile territory, but it's Drew Brees and company, man. They've got Shinsuke Nakamura, and they're going to get it done. Bears-Broncos, God, dare I pick a Flacco-led team over the Bears? They're at home, Mile High, and they weren't terrible in that game against the Raiders. So I'll go with the Broncos. Crazy. Falcons-Eagles. Another good matchup, another tough game. I'm going to say the Eagles. And then finally the Browns and a Darnold-less Jets. They might get Simeon all over themselves if they're not careful. But if the Browns are going to get a win and right the wrongs of their miserable debut, this would be the night to do it. Monday Night Football, prime time, on the road. I know it's not a divisional matchup, but it's a win that you need right now. If you can't beat a team that just lost to the Bills at home by 1 point against their backup quarterback, then the hype wasn't real. Plain and simple. The hype was not real. Catching up on the comments here, J-Hulk calls me that now. El Macho. Hello, wife. Good to see you. And Luke says, Eagles, baby. So those are my picks for week 2, if you guys are interested at all. And those are also my picks for the Survivor Pick'em Pool, if you guys are in any out there. Comedian Chris Cope, good friend of mine, he reached out to me. He's like, hey, I'm in a Survivor Pool. I need a pick. And I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. I said, okay. I was like, I just got strike one in my, eliminator pool, and because I picked the Jets to win over the Bills. It was the Bills, man. Ugh. Anyway, I digress. But I said Ravens Cardinals is a good one. Titans Colts is a good one, and Chargers Lions is a good one. So I gave him my 3. Those are my 3 for you Survivor pool pick'em players out there. That was I'm surprised I pulled saying that off without slurring over my words. Luke says, I texted you my lineup this week. Let me know your thoughts. Did you do it just now? Because I haven't gotten a text from you, brah. He did do it just now. He's like, let me know what you think. Okay, you want to know what's really funny about me in fantasy football? It's not a rule and it's not like a superstition at all. It's a fact. So I can give great fantasy advice. I really can. There's been people that I've given last-minute advice to that ended up pulling out the win, and they were like, oh my God, that saved my season, whatever. And it's just like, yeah, you're welcome. I cannot give myself advice on fantasy football to save my life. I can't do it. I can't. It's the craziest thing. It really is. So I will give you fantasy football advice all day long, and I won't be able to take my own advice, though. So I have to get my advice from somebody else. I think this is probably not as uncommon as I'm making it sound, but I used to make a joke because a lot of fantasy football Twitter accounts and podcasts out there would use the hashtag ask and then their handle, their name, their podcast, so ask fantasy footballers, my hashtag was don't ask. And it was funny because with that, I got more questions. They're just like, hey, what should I do? And I was like, well, you should start him. He's got a good matchup, and I think it'll be probably a one-sided game, and they're going to go with the run to control the clock. And then hashtag don't ask fan show. So it's the little things in life that makes you smile. But that brings us up to the 41-minute mark. This has been another great edition of the F.A.N. Show. I think we did pretty good considering there wasn't a special guest. Got through the headlines, talked about Antonio Brown, which looks like as of right now he may play Sunday if he's ready to play. This has nothing to do with the accusations against him and the league punishment that has yet to be dealt out, if they will, if they won't, or any kind of decision from them. Oakland is bringing football back to the Bay Area, or I guess I should say they're keeping it in the Bay Area because the Raiders might be gone, but the Panthers, that's right, co-owned by Marshawn Lynch himself, the Oakland Panthers were announced this week that they will be the newest member of the Indoor Football League. And speaking of which, I am finalizing my proposal to the Indoor Football League to make the Fan Show the official media partner for the Indoor Football League. And what that means is that everything that I have done in the past and continue to do and will potentially do, you guys saw it. I did the Outstanding Players of the Week. Did the tour again, although I didn't get to as many stops as I wanted to. This would obviously take care of that and fix that problem. I did the top 10 plays of the week. But all this can be theirs if they like what I'm selling, which is I'm selling myself, obviously. It's a person that they know and trust within the league, the players, the coaches, the fans. Most of them like me. Most of them know me. Most of them trust me. And then a brand you can count on, the Fan Show brand, which I will stand by until the day I die. So that is going to do it for this latest edition of the Fan Show. We'll be back with special guests next week. I got a fishing trip this weekend I'm very excited about. Nigel says, how you feel about the new Oakland Panthers? I like the name, the logo, color scheme. Hey, it's a touchdown. It's a game winner. It really is. I think it was done very well. I think Marshawn Lynch putting his stamp on it really brings a great light to the IFL, which is something they need to capitalize on, which is something I'm willing to help them with. And I don't mean that like I'm some kind of big shot. I mean that because I believe in my ability and my skill to do so. And I'm going to pitch that to them, see if they like it. Hopefully they do. Luke says, thanks, bro. Appreciate you. I will get back to you with my suggestions for your lineup. Hopefully you don't have anybody playing tonight because that's another rule I have before we sign off here. If I can avoid it, if I can help it, I don't start players for Thursday night games. They can have the best matchup you've ever seen statistically and by all the experts. They can be in their must-start column for that week. Like, there's no reason you can't start blah, blah, blah with this matchup, and they'll have a horrible performance. Like, the whole game is sloppy, it's messy, it's why I don't like Thursday night football. So if I can avoid it, I do. Like the plague, like a Kardashian, like, sexual assault accusations. I will avoid the hell out of it because it's just won't do it. I won't do it. So Luke's lineup right now looks like you have nobody starting tonight. So good. I'll look it over. I'll get back to you. Right now, it looks pretty good, though. I got to admit, like, right now, it looks pretty good. Doesn't look like he has any players for either team tonight. Oh, wait, no. No, he's got Barber. Well, I wouldn't start him anyway. And the defense. Ooh. Defense is another story. I think you can get away with starting Carolina's defense tonight. So, there's that for you. Let's see. Adam says it's the last weekend for his helmet cam. If you're in Fan Nation group, go and check out those videos. They're always fun. I did an interview for the first wrestling division special that I've done in a while, and that'll be out tomorrow. So make sure that you've subscribed, liked, and listened and loved to Everything Fan Show. That's the Facebook, as you've seen on the scroll down here. You can listen on demand, Spotify, SoundCloud, iTunes, iHeartRadio. And follow us on Twitter at FanShowOfficial. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on Instagram, which is The Fan Show. And then, of course, we've got a YouTube channel out there. Links are available on Twitter and Facebook as well. You can't do links on Instagram. It kind of bugs me. So, anyway, as they say, or I guess I should say, as I say, it's not official unless it's Fan Show official, and we are officially out of here. So, until next time, Fan Nation, best of luck to you and yours. Go Niners, and remember, of course, it's all fun and games until you butt fumble. Good night, folks!
Do you remember the time that Mark Sanchez ran into his own player's butt? That was funny sports.
Thank you for having me on the show, man. I love the Fan Show.